Hey guys, how's it going? So it's been a while since I last uploaded my video. I've been in Singapore for close to 2 months now, and to be honest, I felt kind of like lazy to make some videos and whatnot because most of my time is spent not just on my job but also during the weekends. I explore around Singapore and even up to the extent of going up to JB as well. So this video, as you probably can see in the title, is what should you expect if you choose to work in Singapore. For the past 2 months that I've been here, I have been hearing from my family and friends, ex-colleagues, that most of them are also interested to come to Singapore to work. Well, of course, you know why, because of the currency, because of the lifestyle, I guess. So if you are interested to work in Singapore, here are 5 tips that I can give you to help you with your relocation, resettling, or just general knowledge in case you do not know what you need to do. So item number one would be your rental. It goes without saying that the closer you live towards the city center, the more expensive it becomes. So while you're in the topic of finding your room or your house rental, do some research on propertyguru.com. It is a fantastic website that tells you basically the room rates or the house rates of properties all over Singapore. For me myself, I live towards the northern side of Singapore, which is pretty far away from the city center. My rent is a bit more affordable. Whereas if let's say you are staying close to the city center, like Orchard or Novena or somewhere around Marina area, definitely the rent is gonna be a lot higher. So if you're like me, you're staying in the probably the northern part of Singapore, like Woodlands or Kranji or Sembawang, your rent for HDB properties can vary between $600 to $800 per room. Whereas if you choose to live in condos that has facilities such as swimming pool, basketball court and whatnot, you are expected to pay a little bit of a premium. I would say maybe $900 and up. So these are the expected rates for rentals in Singapore. Whereas for city center, do expect to pay anywhere between like 1,200, 1,500 or higher for a single room. And the rooms in city center might be smaller than what you would get if you stay away from the city center. As well as for the rental, usually the landlord would command like as a rule of thumb 1 month deposit for every year that you're staying. So in the event that you're signing like a 1 year rental agreement or contract, you are expected to pay 1 year of deposit or down payment, something like that, on top of the normal rental of the house. But some landlords choose to have a little bit more leniency. They do not have such a tenancy agreement or tenancy requirement. These are the landlords that usually you can deal with directly without going through a real estate agent. So if you have a landlord that prefers to deal directly without going through an agent, you can expect the tenancy agreement to be non-existent because there is probably no documentation required. You just have to move your things in and you technically are a tenant of the house. Not having a tenancy agreement can cause some complications down the line, such as opening a bank account, because banks usually requires like a proof of address or proof of residence, which usually the tenancy agreement is used for. But if you don't have that, no problem. You can sign up for, let's say, like a telco plan, and the telco plan bill that comes to your address can also be used as a proof of residence. So item number two, let's talk about bank account, setting up a bank account especially. Unless you have been studying in Singapore for the past many years as an undergraduate or as a college student, do expect your first paycheck to be delayed because you are not able to create a bank account without the employment card. So this employment card varies based on your payslip, I would say, your salary. You have a few levels or tiers. The highest tier would be the employment pass. The second one would be the S pass, and the last tier would be the working permit. You have to have the employment card with you before you can set up your bank account, and this usually takes 2 to 3 weeks after you have started your job, which is why I would say that for the first month your salary will be delayed. So when you move to Singapore, on top of the rental, do have like a small buffer of sustenance, like probably 1 to 2 months of your salary, to get by the time where you have no salary incoming, because the salary will be late. Previously, you are allowed to set up a bank account using your IPA, in principle approval. Is basically like a letter by the Ministry of Manpower, or we call it MAM, letter from MAM, saying that you are employed in Singapore. That was previously accepted, but now I think the banks have come out with some kind of extra regulations. You are no longer able to set up a bank account just using your IPA. You have to have the employment card with you. So item number 3, if you're a Malaysian paying your taxes, your salary will usually have some kind of deduction where we have something we call a PCB, or Potongan Cukai Bulanan, or in English monthly deductible, monthly tax deductible, whereby a chunk of your salary will be deducted on a monthly basis for taxes. But Singapore tax is a little bit different. You will not get your tax deducted by monthly basis, whereas it has been told by my HR that taxes in Singapore will be done on a yearly basis instead. So after you file your taxes in Singapore, which is around March or April of the yearly cycle, you will receive some kind of notification or letter from IRAS. IRAS is a tax body in Singapore, telling that you have to pay a certain amount for taxes. So this is exactly why you have to have a little bit of saving to pay taxes. Don't be excited by seeing your first pay slip that, oh, we have no tax deductible. That is not exactly the case. The tax deductible only happens once a year. You can pay it by lump sum, or you can pay it by installment basis, whichever is comfortable to you. So this is how taxes work in Singapore. Number 4, do expect to walk a lot, like a lot. Previously, when I was in Malaysia, my daily steps was about 2 to 3,000 steps. Because I have a car, I travel door to door from my house to the office. I don't really walk a lot, but over here in Singapore, when you are relying on public transportation, you are going to walk a lot, like double or triple of what you would back in Malaysia, which is exactly what happened to me. 2 to 3,000 previously, now easily 7 to 8,000 steps per day, which is much healthier. I felt that it makes a little bit of an impact to my health. I did lose a little bit of weight from all this walking. This is just purely walking without any extra exercise like swimming or tennis or whatsoever. So do expect to walk a lot in Singapore. Even though public transports are readily available, you can't expect to just stay at the doorstep of the MRT station or the doorstep of the bus station. You have to walk a certain amount of meters, like 500 meters, 400 meters, to get where you want to go. And while we are in the topic of walking, safety in Singapore is top notch. So you don't have to be afraid of walking at night while somebody try to mug you, pickpocket you or whatnot. But you do have to bear in mind that as a pedestrian, you will be sharing your walkways or your sidewalks with cyclists. So this is, I would say, a frustration point of mine, where cyclists will always try to speed their way through, and you will not know that they are coming. You do not know they are behind you. They'll just zoom past you, and if you are not careful, they will probably just sideswipe you or hit you in the leg or something like that, which thankfully never happened to me. Most bicycles in Singapore does have like a bell or like a ringer or something. If the cyclist can see you in front, usually they will like ring the bell and to notify that they will pass through. But there are some cyclists that they don't care, they don't give a damn. They just zoom past you and pretend like you didn't exist. So this is something that you should take note, be aware of your surrounding, not because of criminals or pickpocketers or whatsoever, but because of bicycles. And we reached the last part of the list, which is number 5. This is something that I wouldn't say applicable to everyone, but I just want to put it out there because I think this is some kind of stereotype. I've actually heard this from a couple of friends of mine in Singapore, saying that if let's say your employers are Singaporean, there is some kind of stereotype going on that if you're willing to relocate, you are more than willing to go out of your way to OT or work extra mile for the company and whatnot, which is something, thankfully it doesn't happen to me. I have quite a good boss who is pretty understanding. But if you do get caught in this kind of stereotype where your boss is harassing you, saying that you have to work extra hours because we took all the trouble to bring you into Singapore to work and whatnot, so you have to follow MOM's instruction. Like I said, MOM is the Ministry of Manpower. MOM has stated regulated hours for employees is so and so hours. So if let's say your boss is harassing you, telling you that you should work extra and whatnot, you have to know the regulation from the Ministry of Manpower, saying that you only can work certain hours of a given day. Do set yourself like a limit or a boundary of your working hours, not just because your boss tells you to OT or work a lot harder than the rest. So this is a stereotype that I do not really like, and just because you think that somebody goes out of the way to relocate, it doesn't mean that you have to actually follow your boss's instruction, especially when it comes to working overtime. So there you go, guys. 5 tips for you who are interested to work in Singapore. Hope this tip actually help you. If you're interested to relocate, hope this topic will ease your relocation and also ease your processes down the line. This is purely coming from my own experience. I just want to share with you so that you have an easier time. So if you like this video, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell as well. Until the next time, take care, stay safe, and see you in the next one.